When she felt overcome by gloom and doubt and astonishment at what she'd done, he smiled encouragement at her. But most of the time he sat silent, looking straight ahead. "Don't you want to go home, Bean?" Her idea of freedom had not included him. But he shook his head, and Pell sighed. What's done is done, she thought, and no use looking back. They were headed for the horse fair at Salisbury. It was less a plan than a starting point, but it led them into the great anonymous bulk of England, where an infinite number of possible lives beckoned. Away from no man's land, away from Mam and Pa, away from Birdie Finch. "He'll make a good steady husband," her sister Lou had told her more than once. "And you like him well enough already." "But I can ride and shoe a horse better than he can." "Is that your best objection?" Lou wished someone would look at her the way Birdie looked at Pell. "It will have to do," Pell laughed and wheeled her horse off across the heath. Lou watched them go, pressing her lips together with disapproval. Everyone knew Birdie and Pell would be married. They'd been betrothed practically from birth, or at least from the first time she'd ridden a horse, just after she learned to walk, set up behind Birdie and holding on for dear life. That pony had no time for children, but Birdie stuck to him, and Pell stuck to Birdie, first like brother and sister, and later with her head buried in his shoulder and her arms around his waist. "When we're grown," he'd say, "you'll be married to the finest blacksmith in 2 counties. "You ought to marry Lou," Pell answered. "She's the one wants a husband." He looked at her injured. "I've nothing to say to your sister, and you know it." She couldn't contradict him, for it was true that Lou hated mud and horses equally, was the least likely person to attend a difficult calving or grab hold of a pony's mane and swing up onto its back. There was a time, an early time, when the thought of marrying Birdie had made Pell proud, not least for besting Lou, who everyone knew would make the better wife. In those days, boy and girl spent every spare moment together, from first dawn till last light, and there wasn't a horse they couldn't catch, ride and tame. Before she was old enough to know what kissing was, he'd kissed her and said, "There now, that means we'll be married someday." And at first she believed him because she wanted to, and later because she couldn't think of anything else to believe. "On that spot," he said one day, pointing to the empty field just beyond his parents' home, "that's where we'll build our house, and fill it to bursting with children." He held his arms out wide to indicate multitudes. Pell stared at him. A house full of children. She had only to look at her mother, worn and shapeless with a leaking bladder, great knotted blue veins, and breasts flat as old wineskins, to reject that plan. And worse even than the physical toll was the grinding disappointment, the drudgery, the changelessness of life in this place. Toil and hardship and a clamour of mouths to feed? Not now, Pell thought. Not ever. Chapter 3. That first afternoon, they came to a hamlet consisting of 4 thatched wooden houses and 2 more made of cob. Pell stopped outside the one with the nicest garden, where a girl her own age fed soured milk and slops to the family pig. The girl had a face already pulled inward with troubles, but she wiped her hands on her apron and set down the bucket when she saw Pell. They considered each other while passing the time, one wondering who was the stranger with a child and a white horse, and what she was doing here, the other happy to observe a life of feeding slops to a pig, as long as it wasn't her life. "Are you travelling alone?" asked the girl, though she might have answered that question on the evidence of her own eyes. When Pell indicated Bean, she looked surprised. "What, no father or husband?"